What's going on, man? It's your boy Butler, man. It's the best day of my life. Tomorrow is not promised. Go on to do your little dance while they still playing your song. And if you have the opportunity to, man, stay out of prison because it's not a place to be. I want to say first, rest in peace to Martiese McKay. And I'm not sure if I mispronounced his name, so I'm gonna just say M. McKay, Brother McKay, who passed away at Johnson State Prison on 4/18/2026. Now, got this picture from Georgia Prisons Exposed by way of Tiffany Johnson. And her post says, if anyone has any information surrounding the circumstances that led to his death, comment or reach out to me. There are 2 offenders that died at Johnson last week. Please keep his family and friends in your thoughts during this difficult time. So then also what I have is, I think one of his relatives jumped in the comment section, and my loved one at Johnson. Okay, no, I know I'm not tripping. Let me see. Okay, hello, thanks for accepting me. I'm his aunt. We have information and concerns surrounding his death. His mom is also waiting to be accepted. Uh, then it says justice. She is in the group now. Thank you. I'm praying for the family and friends. I'm sorry for your loss. This crap has to freaking stop. This is out of control. My condolences to the family. Ooh, items like these, yeah, it does kill. Condolences to all. Okay, so now look, so let me go ahead and say something that might make a few people uncomfortable. I don't believe this is coincidence anymore. I don't believe this is unfortunate. And I definitely don't believe this is something we should keep responding to with silence and sympathy posts. Because at some point, you have to stop calling something a mistake and start calling it what it is. It's a pattern, it's a system. And unfortunately, this system is not, hold on 1 second, y'all. Hmm, interesting. All right. Looks like we got somewhere to be this evening. Okay. Hmm. Interesting. 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 Sometimes people will try to subject you to things that you're not comfortable with. All right, now, so let's back to this system. This system, because it's taking place in a bunch of different states. It's by design. And today that design has a name attached to it. Uh, Brother McKay. Every time something like this happens, we get fed the same script. Investigation pending. Details are limited. Cause of death unknown. Let me translate that for you in plain language. That means time is being bought. That means accountability is being delayed. And by the time the truth shows up, the emotion has already left the room. And once the emotion leaves, so does the pressure. So let's call out this pattern directly. You cannot keep stacking bodies on top of paperwork and expect people to believe this is random. At what number do we stop saying that's unfortunate and start saying something is wrong here? Because this is not one situation. It's not two. This is a consistent rhythm. People go in a live, something happens behind closed doors, information comes out slow, and accountability comes out even slower. That's not chaos, that's structure. Now, let's elevate the conversation, because if you only look at this emotionally, you'll miss the deeper issue. The question is not just what happened to Martiese McKay. The question is, what type of system produces outcomes like this repeatedly and still calls itself functional? Because a system is not judged by what it says, it's judged by what it consistently produces. And right now, this system is producing neglect, confusion, and death. So let's stop praising it for its intentions and start evaluating it for its results. Now, here comes the predictable response. Well, he shouldn't have been there. Let's deal with that. Even if that were true, Last time I checked, a sentence is supposed to be a punishment, not an execution. There's no judge in the country that bangs a gavel and says, I hereby sentence you to poor medical care. I hereby sentence you to neglect. I hereby sentence you to die in custody. That's not how this is supposed to work. So when this does happen, that's not justice. That's failure. And let's stop acting like humanity has to be earned. Martiese McKay was a human being before he was ever a headline. And the problem is, we've created a culture where people only deserve empathy if we approve of their past. That's dangerous because once you start deciding who deserves humanity, you already started justifying who doesn't. So now the real question becomes, who is responsible? Not just on paper, but in practice. Who was on shift? Who made the decisions? Who ignored the signs? Who signed off on the conditions? Because systems don't operate themselves, people do. And when something goes wrong inside the system, it's not enough to say, we're looking into it. No, you need to say, this is who failed. This is what happens next. That's the only way you can prevent it from happening again. But let me challenge us to, because we can't just point fingers at institutions and ignore the environment we contribute to. We glorify chaos. We normalize dysfunction. We entertain pain. I was telling the individual the other day, hey man, you may not need to allow your child to listen to this type of music. It warps the mind. It told me I was overreacting. Am I overreacting? Am I? Okay. This is bigger than one case. This is about more of what we tolerate and what we're willing to change. Martiese McKay is gone, and we can't undo that. But what we can do is to refuse to let this become the norm. Refuse to let this become background noise. Refuse to let another name come and go without pressure, without questions, without change. Because if we keep responding this way, we're gonna keep getting the same outcome. And at this point, it's no longer just the system's responsibility. It's ours too. We have to change, we have to shift the paradigm. Now, I'm gonna go to Johnson State Prison. We're gonna dive off into Johnson State Prison and see, you know, what's been going on there. Um, it's
Was reporting the Georgia Department of Corrections is responding after a corrections officer at Johnson State Prison was arrested for allegedly allowing the beating of two inmates. The arrest warrant shows corrections officer Barnique Burton was arrested. She was accused of playing a part in the beating of two inmates at the Wrightsville prison back in the beginning of April. Burton is no longer employed with the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Breaking news just into the newsroom. Washington County deputies need your help finding an inmate that escaped. Deputies say Deshaun Garrison escaped last night. Deshaun is sentenced for rape. They say deputies tried to stop a car during a pursuit that looked like the description of the car they were looking for. The car then crashed in or near Sparta. Anyone who sees Garrison is asked to call 911. At 6.
If somebody gets the better of him, then you don't have any backup. And then people say, "Oh,
this is Tyler. Tyler is an ex GDC officer, and I'm not sure if let's see, he's talking about his experience inside the prison. So let's chime in and go subscribe to his page. You see it right there, Tyler Rouse. Go subscribe to that page.
Oh, the women can do backup and all that." No, they cannot. Women cannot offer men backup dealing with the physicality of men. Okay. And that's just the truth. Anybody that has ever been in violent situations with men understands completely what it is. Okay. When men get violent, especially in a correctional environment, it's going to take men to get him under control. Okay. Unless the pepper spray or something works, or unless a taser works. Physically, a woman cannot go against a man. I have personally seen men in handcuffs manhandle 2-3 women at a time. Okay, and that's not a shock. That's just reality. Okay, but so I seen this, or heard about this happening and was getting told about the story of everything that happened surrounding that incident. And that's not the first incident like that where we have an officer that is in a situation where they should never have been there anyway. We should not have had this compound running at this catastrophic of a level. Y'all, when I say that our prisons have a problem, a catastrophic problem, I mean like I'm talking about, where you may have one able-bodied person there, or sometimes even none. Not we, because I'm not with the Department of Corrections anymore. The Department of Corrections leaves female officers by themselves on male compounds. Not by themselves like, oh, they're in the dormitory by themselves. No. There is no man even there to do anything. So I'll just ask everybody that watches this to just think about that for like 10 seconds and understand that the severity of what's going on. Okay? These people are at the mercy of the inmates. Okay? And look, I'm not saying that, the inmates are going to do something bad to them. Sometimes they do, like what we're talking about. But my point is that by allowing these things to be like this, we've set up a power dynamic in our prisons that is completely insane. Okay? Even at Johnson State Prison, before I left, this was the whole time I was at Johnson. I was only at Johnson for 1 year. Okay? From the moment I got there to the moment I left, most of your female officers, especially your female supervisors and people that walk around the compound, which there wasn't many, had what I called and what most people called inmate bodyguards. They had inmates that rode with them everywhere they go. Because there was there at Johnson when I was there, until we got a new captain in, there was only 3 able-bodied men, period, working there. Okay? So that's the kind of situation that you're in. 3 men total. I'm not talking about, this is all 3 of us was on split shift. So when you're at night and things like this, it's completely insane. It's crazy. Okay? And the policies that the Georgia Department of Corrections has pushed over these last several years have led to this, by definition. All right? These are the fruits of the things we've been doing. And part of that is ACA, which is totally corrupt. Everybody knows that's working with the Department of Corrections, knows that the whole ACA thing is all fallacy. Because none of these prisons can even uphold the standards. Even though it says that they uphold the standards on paper, it's impossible. There's no way. Okay, and that's part of this, because the Department of Corrections' entire force, as far as this is what we need to do, has been making this happen. It hasn't been to make sure that we follow the policies of the ACA. Instead, it's been to make sure that we can get the paperwork together to say that we have this ACA, which all goes into lawyers and legality and so forth and so on, with that comes with the membership in the American Correctional Association. But we're not members, okay? Because we don't follow their rules anyway. We're not following the rules of any kind of prison, period, anymore. Like I say, we're down to they're abandoned of security staff at most of these prisons. Most of these prisons don't have 10 able-bodied people working there. We have CERT teams with 1 person. A team, emergency response team of 1. It's just a commander. That's it. Okay, and these people are in such danger. And not only the staff, the inmates, because they're left down in the dormitories with no supervision pretty much ever. We got inmates that are dying and being down in the dormitory for hours and hours before anybody gets even notified, because there's no officers. Okay, so my whole point of even coming on here, speaking about my stories of being involved and telling this, is to bring to the attention of people, look, Something has got to be done. There is no more turning a blind eye to this. We have to do something. It's obvious that the Georgia Department of Corrections, at least its leadership, is not going to do anything. They haven't done anything now for years and years. And we've had countless examples of these conditions being directly related to why we have inmates and officers, staff alike, being put in harm's way unnecessarily and getting harmed and killed on both sides, staff and inmate. Staff and inmate are getting killed because we don't have the people in our prisons. We have to get people into these prisons as quickly as we can. We don't have time to wait and hire people. You can't hire people and bring them into that type of environment and expect them to stay anyway, or expect them to learn how to operate a prison, because the prisons are not operating like they're supposed to be regardless. So these new people coming in, they don't even understand how to do, how to operate a prison, because it's really that bad. Okay, we got crazy stuff happening, and throughout this whole week, I've been on the phone and in messages so much, just because since releasing the first videos, more and more people have reached out. Inmates, families, and staff alike, and ex-staff. Okay, and we got a lot of interviews going on. There'll be video footage getting put out as soon as it can get edited up and get ready to go. It'll be pushing out, and you'll get to see these interviews with myself and other former staff, and with, sometimes I won't be in it as well. I'll direct you to the TikTok page and to these other people that are involved in this. But y'all, the main point that I want to get across is that we don't even have to wait. We don't have to wait on this. Oh, well, let's see when the next thing comes out. I know it's going to be a big bombshell. There's way more than enough evidence here to call for action. Okay, and that's exactly what I do. That's what I did in 2024 when I wrote my statement. Call for action. It's time to stop ignoring this, and it's time to do something. Okay. As far as solutions go, and I'm going to read off some things that I've been notified of that are going on in our prisons. This, here as recently, just to give y'all kind of an idea of what exactly is going on. But as far as solutions go, look, I was saying maybe National Guard, something to that extent when I spoke to the assistant commissioner when we had our Zoom call. But the Department of Corrections has enough employees to man the prison anyway. But that requires us to stop. How about this? Since we don't follow ACA policies anyway, and it's all just a fallacy and a farce and a pencil whipping, all these positions that are involved in making ACA happen, which includes a lot of instructing positions, sadly, and I'm sorry for y'all that work in instructing capacities, but look, we need specialized training in the state to deal with certain things. Yes. We need in-service. Yes. But we have to get the prison secured first. There's no excuse to have any of these issues like this. Okay. So, as far as my call to action, get the priority one post need to be manned 24/7, as it states in policy. Okay. So that means that Telfair State Prison can't run with 3 people, because it's got 22 priority one posts. So you need 22 minimum instead of 3. Valdosta, whatever it was, 26 or 27 priority one posts. You can't run with 4. It's not enough people there to even accomplish the mission. And everybody that's there is in undue danger because of that. Okay, especially when you're when you're looking at situations like I'm talking about, where there's not even an able-bodied person there. There have been over 10 incidents that I have seen where staff get involved in a use of force here recently, within these last 3 or 4 years, where a staff members get involved in use of force, and there's not a one of those staff members that is even capable of dealing with the situation. So it gets blown way out of proportion. Inmates have to come and help, and look, that is not a good look, for one, and for 2, it's dangerous for everybody involved. the staff in the prisons can't be reliant upon the inmates to protect them. If they are, then that sets up a bad dynamic, and then that's why you got no order in the prisons like we do now. Okay, so there'll be a lot more stuff coming out. As for me, if anybody's watching this that has any kind of care about this, and if you haven't worked in these environments before or don't have a loved one in the prison, I would just say, look, this is a humanitarian crisis. Okay, it's not just the inmates; it's the officers too. Okay, and I don't look at one that much different than the other. It's unnecessary suffering is just unnecessary suffering. But I feel like, and everybody that I've reached out to, as far as trying to get this message out, a lot of people have said, look, there's already
Now,
been
what I
such
do
and
know
such and
is
such
this.
and such. There's been a lot of money.
What I do know is this, that if you want to talk to him in person, he will be at the rally at the Liberty Plaza on May the 8th. I'm not sure about the times, but if you go to his page or you go to Georgia Prisons Exposed, you could get more information on that. Let's see what we have going on.
A correctional officer at Johnson State Prison has been fired and arrested after being accused of allowing an inmate assault. 26-year-old Veronique Burton of Dublin is charged with violating her oath and unlawful acts of violence in a penal institution. Court documents say she let other inmates attack 2 inmates on April 1st. The Georgia Department of Corrections says she was fired the same day the warrants were signed.
Tonight at 6, 23 people facing indictments accused of using drones to smuggle drugs and other contraband inside multiple Georgia state prisons. WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole joins us now live at the U.S. District Court in Savannah. And Andy, they used a drone similar to the one you have.
Yes, Shannon, here it is right here. This is a pretty typical consumer drone. We've taken the blades off of it, but this is what they look like, small, compact, and you can find them on Amazon for just a few $100. Federal prosecutors say this group knew that and took advantage of it. This is just some of the 23 defendants named in a pair of newly unsealed federal indictments. Prosecutors say they used 10 drones to smuggle marijuana, meth, and cell phones into Smith State, Telfair State, and other.
A system in crisis and out of control. That's how the Department of Justice described Georgia's state prison system.
After an 8-year investigation, tonight the DOJ says the conditions inside Georgia's prisons are unconstitutional. The feds are now demanding the state take immediate action. Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn spoke with justice leaders who found in recent years Georgia prisoners are being killed inside prisons at 3 times the national average.
Tonight, the U.S. Justice Department dropping the hammer on Georgia prisons, saying the state is allowing for unsafe and unconstitutional conditions.
People are assaulted.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, the story has not changed, man. My condolences to Brother McKay, to his family. If you have any information, get in the comment section or go over to Georgia Prisons Exposed. Find this post, man, and try to help those people out, man. Y'all get in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and I am out of here.